this guy. There we go. Alright, so we've got this meeting with diplomats at the Citadel. Well, no, it's a different place entirely. I think we want to go to the Citadel first. We gotta go talk to Caden and shut him down. He's gonna want to get busy. Plan today is to do side quests whenever possible.
Do you need ground transport?
Yeah, let's go talk to Caden.
I need to get to the hospital.
Yes, Commander.
Side quests where possible, main story where not. I think at this point in the game, you don't have a lot of side quests open to you. It's not like Mass Effect 1, where as soon as you get the galaxy map, there's like 50 places you can go to. You pretty much stay on that main path for a while. Hey, it's Thane. What's up, buddy? You punching windows? Is that your thing now?
Commander Shepard, when I heard Earth was under attack, I tried to call. I never got through.
Thane, good to see you staying in shape.
My disease kills slowly. With enough care and a healthy lifestyle, it can be delayed for a few years. Of course, my allotted time has come and gone. Now I exercise because
Oh, he's exercising. Okay.
What are you doing here?
I'm guessing that's the exercise they had because that's what they modeled for Thane. They modeled him punching people, but not like doing leg stretches.
Human biotic and intensive care. I saw the marks of an implant.
Yeah.
We have spoken. He seems an honorable sort. Your enemies may try to finish him off here. I will look out for him.
Appreciate it, Thane.
All right.
I am near the end of my life. It is a good time to be generous. Keppel syndrome has put most of my other plans on hold.
I do really like that they thought of something for each of the characters to do based on whether you saved them or didn't save them in Mass Effect 2. Whether those have really, really major implications or not is another question entirely, but at least they tipped their hat to it, so to speak.
I'm back on the Normandy on an important mission. Sure could use you.
I would not be as I was before. I need daily medical attention. And if I know you, you will want to fight the Reapers somehow. You need the best at your side, and I am not at mine.
Dude is honest. Appreciate that. Apparently the Thane romance branch plays out really, really nicely if you're a femshep and you romance Thane in Mass Effect 2. I've watched the YouTube videos for it, but I haven't done that playthrough before.
You don't have to wrestle down Krogan and break their necks. I'm sure we could find you lighter work.
I am at peace with what I've done in my life, Shepard. There comes a time when one must rest from war and conflict. It is not your time, but it is mine.
Do you know how much time you have left?
I've been to several doctors. My favorite gave me 3 months to live. 9 months ago. It's freeing to find no requirements placed on me. No responsibilities. No fears. It is a good end to a life.
Are you in a lot of pain?
At times. The oxygen transfer proteins don't form correctly. Your human equivalent would be hemoglobin. As a result...
BioWare always ready to drop some flavor knowledge on us from characters. I'm glad Thane is privy to human biology.
My blood is low in oxygen. No matter how much I breathe in, I get tingling, numbness, and that is the best of it. As for my brain, I cannot track the damage. I just experience dizziness from time to time.
I wish the best for you, Thane.
And I for you. Do not grieve for me. I have good doctors. My son visits...
That's because Stream
regularly.
voted to rescue the
Perhaps
son.
we'll keep up via the extranet now that you are free. Until we meet again, Shepard.
There's a couple ways that can play out. Son can die, he can get imprisoned.
I know your stock of modified metagel is.
I found this metagel formula.
Yeah, so this is how you do most of the side quests in this game. You creepily like overhear people's conversations and then show up and say, hey, I got that metagel you were talking about on the phone like 3 weeks ago. And they're like, oh,
Make good use of it.
okay. You just picture like Shepard like peeking up around the corner.
We can put this to good use.
Big like quest exclamation points in her eyes.
We're at
She prowls around the Citadel. And this is the
I'm there for the night.
Asari with PTSD that's talking about a Reaper attack on a human colony called Tiptree. Hear more about it later.
She wants to hear all
President
about
Huerta
what
died of a
your
stroke
commander.
2 years ago, ma'am.
You were probably
I
the
think you
most
meant to say
exciting
the man
thing
was
ever
dead
to
for an
land
hour
in
and
a
a half.
farm. His political enemies piled on enough
She's
propaganda
saying
to
she
get the
wants to be a
hospital name
pilot.
changed.
Life
He
on a
can't
ship is
remember his
grimy.
own name without the VI in his head telling him what it is. Trust
Going by my
in this
records,
building,
you've been on
we know
active
dead.
duty for more than 3
This is such a cool concept. I mentioned this before. So on Earth, there's an Earth president who died and was resuscitated after being dead for like an hour, and he's got like a VI in his brain that's helping him live. It's kind of like a mirror of the Shepard situation. So there's this weird like succession thing. Like, is he still the president? And everybody's disagreeing about which is which. I'm gonna go ahead and support the living dead zombie president.
chance to get clean
5
in all that
justices
time.
say he's alive. 2 of them appointed by him. The name is what it is.
Oh.
Completely tasteless to call this place Huerta Memorial.
Yeah, calling the place Huerta Memorial, even though he's still kind of alive.
Oh, ma'am.
What's going on here?
Ma'am, I'll cut you a
There's a couple of these disagreements where you can go inside with one side or the other.
Take me equipment, and you can name the hospital whatever you want.
Now the truth comes out. My job here is done.
No problem, Connie. Yeah, just female shepherd. Exclamation points in the eye. You got a quest? Huh? Oh, there's gonna be more of them too coming forward. Hey, tits and grits, how you been? Hey, here's another one. Biotic interfaces. I don't have one to turn in yet though, because I just found out about the quest. What was that you were talking about on your cell phone?
It says the station's communication system is offline.
I'd like an answer, Major. The galaxy has need of exceptional soldiers like you, now more than ever.
You'll have it soon, Counselor. I promise.
I look forward to it.
So I'm gonna try to play the delicate game of being nice to Caden without like coming on to him, which I had a lot of trouble with in my first playthrough of this title.
Hey,
Shepard, hey. You just missed snack time. Actually, that's probably a good thing. Thanks for coming.
We've done 2 stream votes on who to romance in Mass Effect 1 and 2, and the resounding vote has been nobody. I assume that's going to continue to be true, but once we've unlocked all of the possible romance options, I'll reopen that.
I got you this.
Wow, thanks, Shepard. That's really great.
Just a little pick-me-up.
Maybe when I'm out, we can crack it open and celebrate. I am so ready to get out of here, Shepard. You can't tell, but I'm tied to this bed by medical red tape. I mean, Doc says I'm good to go, but then she always finds just one more test to run.
Yeah, why'd you ask me to come?
You
Let's get to
asked,
business.
It's good to see you're okay.
Thanks.
Is that really the only reason you wanted me to come by?
After Mars and after doubting you, I just wanted to make sure that we're okay. Clear the air.
Caden, we've been through rough missions together. Had each other's backs.
I think his dialogue is basically the same as if Ashley survives to this part, right? I've actually never seen Ashley in this sequence outside of YouTube videos. But I'm pretty sure that she's still a jerk to you on Horizon and Mass Effect 2. She still kind of turns around in Mass Effect 3 after she gets injured here.
No, not just that. You were my commander, sure, but you listened, too. We went through Ash's death together.
Yeah. We did.
So what do you say?
Yeah, I mentioned that when we were playing Mass Effect 3 a couple times while you were in Tokyo.
You and me. We can butt heads. But for now, yeah. We're good.
I'll take that.
Feel like we've cleared the air?
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure that I've been wrong about Cerberus, but I've been wrong about you. I should let you get back to the Normandy.
You should.
Wish I could come with you.
Take care of yourself, Major. This war needs you at 100%.
Will do. Thanks for coming.
All right, so what Kami's referring to is that in Mass Effect 1, technically at the beginning of Mass Effect 2, but the end of Mass Effect 1, you're given a decision. Do you want Udina or Anderson to be the counselor? And whether you're Paragon or Renegade, I'm pretty sure they've done the metrics on this one. The overwhelming majority of players pick Anderson to be the counselor because Udina's a douchebag. Whether you're saving the alien council or not, they pick Anderson. Now, in Mass Effect 3, no matter what your decision was, there, completely independent of that, Anderson retires as counselor and he rejoins the Earth military so that he can be your man in the military back on Earth. So it's like, you shouldn't pick him as the counselor because it's going to mess with your suspension of disbelief to see him in the military in Mass Effect 3. But you have no way of knowing that the first time. It feels like it was shoddily planned. Like if they had known in advance that they wanted Anderson to rejoin the military, then they shouldn't have offered him as a possible council selection. But like I mentioned before, it's one of those things where if you don't know what the alternate storyline is and you actually picked Udina as the counselor, when you're playing Mass Effect 3 the first time and you see that that Anderson's on Earth, you're like, holy shit, like my choices really matter. I can't believe that I've got this character like staying behind. This is all really different. Like, no, it happens no matter which one you pick, unfortunately. But we have to be careful to manage our expectations. What we really would have wanted from EA and BioWare was to make like almost 3 different games based on the decisions you've made, and making a game that, you know, 80% of your player base isn't going to experience isn't exactly economically viable.
Yes, and it only took CSEC 3 weeks to figure it out.
Hey, it's Aria.
I don't care who you are. You're required to go through processing like all other refugees. Come with me.
I don't think so. Shirk, get me the Asari counselor.
If you don't remember, Aria is the boss on Omega, which is like the Terminus Systems version of Citadel. She's voiced by Carrie-Anne Moss, who is Trinity in The Matrix.
Greetings, Arya. Is there something you need?
I'm being asked to submit to immigration processing.
Of course you are. Done. What else can I do for you?
Nothing. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hey, Size 16s. How you doing?
Enjoy the show, Shepard? I guess there's one rule on the Citadel, huh? I guess so. I hate this place. So sickeningly uptight.
So that's a reference back to Mass Effect 2. This game is... The dialogue is pretty well written if you're like a huge fan of the series and played through Mass Effect 1 and 2 a lot. In Mass Effect 2, you meet Aria, and she says there's only one rule on Omega, and it's don't fuck with Aria. I think it's like their one use of the F-bomb in Mass Effect 2. Just saying there's one rule on the Citadel after she calls the Asari counselor to bail her out. It's kind of neat.
Then why are you here? Cerberus stole Omega from me. The elusive man is now squarely at the top of my shit list. You will pay for every second I've spent in this bureaucratic hellhole. How did Cerberus defeat you? Deceit, distraction, and a big fucking army. They lured me away from Omega and ambushed me. I escaped, but Cerberus had already laid siege. By the time I could launch an assault, they were too entrenched.
Hey, I'm doing all right. I look forward to continuing through Mass Effect. This, like, 95% of this game is really great.
At least you escaped to fight another day. And that day is coming. I'll take Omega back, but I'll get to that. You're here because I have a proposition. I'm listening. The way I see it, if you don't defeat the Reapers, we're all dead. Won't matter where I'm sitting. It's in my interest to help.
Hey, Justin, how you doing?
What are you offering, Aria? On Omega, I kept the Blood Pack, Blue Suns, and Eclipse in check. Now they're running amok. Nobody wants that. Unite them under my rule, and you'll have a powerful and ruthless force for your war.
Oh.
I've
Hey, Raynex. Yeah, thanks for stopping by again. It's good seeing you again.
laid the groundwork with all 3 groups. I just need you to close the
I try not to talk too much on top of the voice acting, but I'll hit the Xbox button to pause if I'm chatting with somebody. We've made quite a bunch, mostly trending Paragon size 16s, but I'll try to run through them when we're running away from this conversation back to the Normandy.
Give a criminal a gun, he'll shoot you in the back. They already have guns, Shepard. I'll make sure they point them at the Reapers. I'm trying to help you. Why don't you think it over? Meet with Gnarl, my agent who's dealing with the Blood Pack. The Blue Suns leader is incognito here on the Citadel. He'll be expecting you. And I already have a deal with Jonas Sedaris, the Eclipse leader. You just have to get your friend, Commander Bailey, to let her out of jail. You obviously don't know Bailey very well. Bailey respects you. Lean on him. I think a united force of professional mercs is worth it. Don't you? It's always a pleasure, Shepard. Let me know if you want to talk later.
Yeah, so you can get a bunch of war assets by getting the mercs on your side. It's kind of cool having you follow up with Arya. The whole, like, there's 3 different major mercenary groups is a pretty major plot point in Mass Effect 2, running behind a lot of the other quests in that game. So, oh, that's awesome, Justin. Yeah, it's really cool that they made Twitch streaming so easy on the PS4 and the Xbox One. It's actually kind of a miracle that Twitch was able to negotiate that as effectively as they did when they were kind of still in their infancy as a major platform when those systems were being launched. Hey, people, how you doing? So major decisions we've made. We saved the council. We appointed Udina for the reason I was mentioning earlier with Kami, that it makes the most overall storyline sense to make that decision, knowing what they ended up doing in Mass Effect 3. We destroyed the collector base. Kind of renegade stuff we've done outside of the standard Paragon fare. Like we killed Samara and took Morinth into our party. I think because there's a lot of people who were in chat at the time wanted to see what would happen. Shepard's design overall was created by chat vote. I think in the first game she was a vanguard, in the second game she was a soldier, in this one she's an engineer. A lot of people doing Elder Scrolls Online. So what's the sell? What's the pitch for Elder Scrolls Online? Like, to me that seems like... I get why they made it, right? You play Skyrim and you're like, this is a single-player MMO. I wish I could play this other people and show other people the stuff I've found. But, like, when you actually make it into an MMO, it feels more like a particularly generic online RPG. Because you can think about what makes Final Fantasy XIV different. Well, it's Final Fantasy. It has Final Fantasy spells. It has Final Fantasy summons. It has lots of nostalgia. You know, what makes Guild Wars Guild Wars? They have this specific model for handling the Trinity and their level design and that kind of thing. WildStar is the hardcore game, but like you gotta differentiate yourself from World of Warcraft. I don't know how Elder Scrolls does that other than just saying it takes place in the same universe as the other Elder Scrolls games. Cool memorial wall here. Hey Buckin, how you doing?
You can't turn people away.
Yes, we can. Tell your friends to move their ship out of the docking bay.
Wait, please. My family's on board. Just let them land. I'll pay.
So I think the correct thing to do here is to side with... They give you all these like mini decisions that normally they would have handled with a conversation like the one that we have in Mass Effect 1. Instead, you just kind of do this creepy like Shepard's peeking up. She's got golden exclamation points in her eyes. She overhearing a conversation. She's gonna butt in.
Sure you can't squeeze in a few more people, officer?
And who the heck are you? Oh, Commander Shepard. If that's what you think,
I think there might be a correct and an incorrect decision for each of those. That may have been the incorrect decision. When I describe Elder Scrolls, particularly Elder Scrolls Online, as being generic, I'm looking to be disproven. I don't have a good foundation for that claim, right? Having not played any of the games in the series seriously, so if there's something that really makes it stand out, what's the difference between like Bethesda fantasy and any other fantasy? Is there like an elevator pitch for it? I haven't played Final Fantasy Type 0. We had some people in chat who were playing it around when it came out. I think they were into it. Take the Dark Reeves. Remember, the Batarians have mostly been wiped out. Their system was the one that was being invaded initially by the Reapers. Oh, what's the DLC? Are they? How are they doing DLC for that, people? Is it like Destiny with which is effectively an expansion pack, or Is it coming out every couple months or once a year? Okay.
Let's check on those Metagel supplies.
Oh, so talking about the single-player games.
Wow. Arya wasn't kidding. The great Commander Shepard on a leash.
I'm here for my own reasons, Vosk.
Oh, sure you are. Anyway, tell her I'm impressed, but to do business, I still need my little problem taken care of.
Which is?
Yeah, exactly. It says
A
16.
general named Oraka has it out for the Blue Suns. He's raising a stink over our activity in this sector. I'll commit my gang to Arya as soon as Oraka's dead.
There must be more to Oraka's complaint.
We're just making little raids along trading routes. With Arya's blessing, I might add. Oraka's just some military fossil who came out of retirement to relive the glory days and justify his existence. Losing him won't affect your war in the least, but gaining the Blue Suns, well, you know our work.
Should we kill this general so that we get the Blue Suns on our side? I'll put this one to a stream vote. Votes out. ESO is not as good as Skyrim. Yeah, I guess I get the appeal of like Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim, where it's like this is wildly different. This is the WRPG, the Western RPG, right? Oh man, looks like we're taking care of it. I won't even start the timer. I don't think we're gonna beat 4 votes in that direction.
You won't have to worry about Oraka for long.
Love it. Commander Shepard taking out the Blue
I would have
Suns.
picked the other one, given to my own
Arya is
devices.
something special. Oh, and tell Arya I still expect her blue ass in bed with me.
Okay. I'm not actually going to pass that message along.
What is it, Shepard?
You knew about this?
Can you be more specific?
Darner Vosk expects me to kill General Oraka.
Who cares what Vosk wants? What he needs is for Oraka to stop disrupting his operations. I figured you'd talk to Oraka, see if you can get him to lay off. And if he won't listen to reason, call me, and I'll take care of it.
I'm personally more of a Paragon. I trend in that direction. My wife trends to Renegade. Both of them make sense in different situations. I think the Mass Effect 3 had the opportunity to make a lot of decisions matter immediately because they didn't have to worry about another game that it had the decisions had to tie into.
I don't see the distinction.
The distinction is that I'm giving you the chance to save his life.
Right. Why didn't you just tell me this yourself?
Vosk needed to see you, needed to realize who he's dealing with. Plus, if I have to suffer that scumbag staring at my tits one more time, I might have to kill him.
Yeah, he mentioned that,
That I'm going to sleep with him? We all have our delusions.
Yeah, I can hear that size. I like Arya's character. And like, Carrie-Anne Moss really delivers her lines differently from just about every other voice actor in the game. Alright, I think that there's a consequence to the Bring Down the Sky DLC in this general area eventually. It's not this early. Later on we come back here and
What about the food we were promised?
leave it happen.
It's been allocated to the
Hey, is it the Shepard VI?
Contact Commander Bailey over at CSEC. Tell him Garrus Vakarian would consider it a personal favor if he could reallocate the shipment so these people don't starve.
Yeah, the Shepard VI demo. What's up, Garrus? Yeah, I'll do all the DLC.
what's happening?
We convinced the Council to accept our wounded. Nowhere else to go.
How bad is it?
More dead than injured. 85% killed in action. We'll need a morgue soon. Not a lot of flesh wounds when you're fighting rapers.
So we'll have to speak very carefully, not to really spoil the game for you people, but the issue is that the ending of the game is effectively a choice between 3 different colors, right? Without saying anything else about it. And in the original release of the game, there's a very unsatisfying conclusion. There's a very short cutscene that's almost exactly the same based on the 3 different choices you can make, except for the color of an explosion is either red, blue, or green. This is what frustrated people, because the whole point of Mass Effect is that you make these big decisions and they carry over from game to game. So to see those decisions reduced to a single number, which is effectively what happened, a number that can be changed pretty wildly by playing the multiplayer for a couple hours, and then having your final decision not actually matter that much in the long run, is pretty frustrating. Now, BioWare took some steps to adjust for that. They, in an unprecedented way, they brought their voice actors back on for Shepard to record new dialogue and patch the ending. And their patched ending is a lot more satisfying than what they originally produced. But that just shows you how huge the outcry was, how disappointed players were. We'll talk about it a lot when we get to the actual end. We'll be playing the patched ending. I have it on my system, but I'll talk about what the original one looked like and how it was different. I think the disappointment was palpable and warranted. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, don't complain. BioWare can end the game however they want." But it's they've had the whole premise of Mass Effect be your decisions matter, and when the last decision is pointless, it annoyed people.
Casualties are that high?
Our frontline units are being wiped out, whole platoons at a time. A single Reaper can destroy 9 or 10 of them in one attack.
That's not war. It's slaughter.
They're called Reapers for a reason, and these guys found out why.
A big part of the issue in the ending is that they brought in a different person. They had this guy, Drew Karpyshyn, who was writing the whole thing from the beginning. He wrote all the books. This is all kind of his universe. And they pulled him off the project in Mass Effect 3. They reallocated him to the Star Wars MMO, I think, which probably his writing has improved as a result of having him on board. But the ending has it's a big tone shift. It goes from this kind of big, fantastical space opera, almost Star Wars-like in its style. But then the ending is very, the tone is much more grim, David Bowie, Space Oddity, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It feels like it's in a completely different genre, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. Like I said, I'm impressed that BioWare went to the trouble of doing the DLC, the expanded cut ending. First of all, they released this expanded cut, and they did it for free, just to kind of recover from the PR backlash.
Do what you can for them.
A few of them might get back on their feet, but the rest... sympathy is about all we can offer.
Any sign of your family?
Not yet, but I keep hoping. What about you? I'm starting...
Yeah, you should absolutely play through Mass Effect. It's one of my favorite game series of all time. I bought an Xbox just to play it, not knowing how awesome it was going to be, just knowing that it was from BioWare and that they made Knights of the Republic. And that was one of my favorite games for the previous system. Yeah, it's great. You should play through all of them.
I won't lie. It's been rough.
Well, don't forget to come up for air. There's a lot more war to go.
I guess the frustrating thing about it was that everything up until that very last point, all of Mass Effect 1 and 2 and the first 99% of Mass Effect 3 is outstanding. It was just those last couple minutes where
Copy of a Shepard VI.
It didn't pan out.
Oh yeah, the one based on that war hero? We locked it after some kid spilled soda over the hardware. I'll unlock it, but we've only got the demo version working.
Made a VI out of you.
Good to meet you. I'm Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy. Extranet says you're Alliance military. Take care of yourself out there.
I wish I could get the VI in my quarters.
There's nothing this galaxy can't beat if we all work together. Except the Reapers. Ever see the size of one of those things?
It's referencing back to a joke in Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 3 is full of a lot of little nuggets for people who are big fans of the series up to this point. And they don't beat your head over it. They just rely on you remembering the line from Mass Effect 1 or 2. So it's a good game to play the full series back to back. You could do that in the multiplayer for this game. I think you're going to be playing a human in Mass Effect 4, which takes place in a different galaxy, so they're effectively being able to reboot the series since it's not going to be impacted at all by what's going on in the Milky Way here. The lore in this universe is super cool. It's they're pointing out, hey, there's 100 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. That's enough. We don't need to be going from galaxy to galaxy. Yeah, they talk about the Elcor. Elcor are the best race. They're my wife Andrea's favorite race in this game. I think there's a Mass Effect trilogy that's for PS4 and Xbox One. Can someone in chat confirm that? I've heard of it. I'm just playing off my original copies, but I think you can just buy all 3 of them at once. And you should play through all of them. Good stream game. Alright. Let's move on to the next main mission. Each game separately, yeah. But you can get a bundle pretty cheap. Does the bundle come with any of the DLC? Unlike a lot of games, like, with a couple exceptions, almost all the DLC for Mass Effect is really good. You know, aside from like the cosmetics, you need to buy like costumes or guns, but the story DLC is really, really well made. Diplomatic ships of the Solarians. Alright.
Commander, the Solarian Dalatras and Krogan clan chief are ready to come aboard.
Oh man, who's the Krogan clan chief?
Conference room. And hope this doesn't start another war.
Was it Mass Effect Galaxies? Oh yeah, I don't think they're doing a remastered one, but I don't think the game really needs a remaster. It looks pretty good.
The Krogan has a name. Erdnot Wrex. And I'm not just some junkyard Varen you unleash whenever you're in trouble. No problem.
It's Wrex.
Reaper scouts have arrived on Tuchanka. So why should I care if a few Turians go extinct?
Trying to draw out negotiations will get you nowhere, Wrex. I have no time for it. Just tell us what you want.
So Wrex is only here because of decisions we made in Mass Effect 1, which is pretty cool. In fact, there's quite a bit of, as much as we complain about decisions not mattering, there's quite a bit of content in Mass Effect 3 that only exists if you actually played through Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 and decided a certain way. I believe that there's like a default Shepard playthrough if you were to just start from 3 that assumes that just about anyone who could be dead is dead.
I'll tell you what I need. A cure for the genophage.
Oh, isn't Mass Effect Trilogy one of the games that you can play on the Xbone though? It's like backwards compatible. I thought that Mass Effect was one of the first games that they were making backwards compatible for the Xbox One.
Absolutely not. The genophage is non-negotiable.
So you saw the severity with which Wrex said that and the like look on the Solarian Dalatras's face. The genophage is the disease, the genetically modified disease that the Solarians created to control the Krogan like a couple thousand years ago when they were breeding out of control. It makes it so that only 1 in 1,000 Krogan births are viable. Because if they're allowed to breed under normal conditions, there's too many of them and they like start to conquer the galaxy.
Why are you so opposed to the idea, Dalatras?
Because my people uplifted the Krogan. We know them best.
You mean you used us to fight a war you couldn't win? It wasn't the Solarians, or the Asari, or even the Turians that stopped the Rachni. It was Krogan blood that turned the tide.
And after that, you ceased to be useful. The genophage was the only way to keep your urges in check.
Dalatras, you may not like him, but Wrex is right. Insulting him won't change that.
I won't apologize for speaking the truth. We uplifted the Krogan to do one thing. Wage war. It's all they know because it's all we wanted them
No
to
shit,
know.
people. Wow, that's really sucky. They're still expanding their backwards compatibility program for Xbox One, right? Yeah, I think that the genophage problem in the Mass Effect series is probably the best difficult question that they ask, where like you can really hear the arguments both ways, whether you should have it or not have it, and it's kind of hard to pick from a completely logical perspective. There are a lot of decisions in the series where it's like, okay, one of those is the correct decision, the other one you would just do if you're being mean, right? But I think it's a good, complex, difficult question. It mirrors like a real life problem.
Your people should have thought the matter through then. Was it really a surprise the Krogan revolted?
That's precisely my point, Commander. We made a rash decision. We turned to the Krogan in desperation. It's the same mistake you're about to make today. No good can come from curing the genophage.
The Krogan have paid for their mistakes. The genophage has gone on long enough.
It's not an actual decision I just made there, so.
176 years, if you're keeping track.
It was 1,000 years of peace, free from these brutes.
Enough! Whether or not they deserve a cure is academic. It would take years to formulate one.
My information says otherwise.
Stream voted to save the Rachni.
A Solarian scientist, Malin, grew a conscience. He was on my planet, testing a cure on our females.
I remember. His methods were barbaric.
But what you didn't know is that other females survived his experiments.
Alright, so Stream made the decision to save the genophage cure that Malin was working on.
So the Dalatress here sent in a team to clean up the whole mess and to take them prisoner.
Where did you get this? It could be a fabrication.
Don't insult me. Those are my people. They're immune to the genophage, and you're going to give them back.
Dalatrass, is this true?
How will curing the genophage benefit my people?
Yeah, that's what's so. I like that they gave so much benefit, because they could have just randomized it size 16s, but that effectively means is that you only get to experience a lot of these characters, a lot of the voice acting, and a good chunk of the content if you actually played Mass Effect 1 and 2, and that was a pretty ballsy move on BioWare's part. I could see EA telling them, no, you need to make this available to everybody. Because they were really pushing for people to buy Mass Effect 3 as a standalone. That's why they have like the reduced narrative options and like the multiplayer.
How long do you think you'll last alone against the Reapers? Because if you don't help, that's how it'll end up.
And I'll be the last friendly Turian you ever see.
What's it gonna be?
The females are being kept at one of our STG bases on Sur'Kesh. But I warn you, Commander, the consequences of this will be felt.
Alright, we got a Renegade Interrupt. Don't know what it's gonna do. It won't, and it probably shouldn't, because it's intended to completely separate itself. It won't even be like Dragon Age Inquisition, where it's somewhat related. Well, if you want to get into the series late, people, you'll still be rewarded for starting with Mass Effect 1. You know what I mean? Like, if you play all 3 games in sequence, you're fine. Alright, looks like we're doing it.
Will be nothing compared to what happens if the Reapers win.
Let's get the females.
You're not setting foot on Sur'Kesh. This will take time.
It happens now. As a Council Spectre, Shepard can oversee the exchange.
We're going.
Yeah, it's not so much that it rewards you for playing it when the game came out, but it rewards you for playing through each game in sequence as a full playthrough.
A bully has few friends when he needs them most.
I see. It's worth it. They're all really good, but I hear your point. All right, so let's vote on who we're bringing with us. We'll just, for the sake of simplicity, we'll take the top 2 votes, and I'll randomize if there's a tie. I feel like this is a series that it's really necessary to play them all. It's not quite like Dragon Age, where you can get away with just starting with Dragon Age Inquisition because they have a later tie between them. Since you're playing the same character in every game, it's important that you start as Commander Shepard, and then that those decisions carry over into 2 and then to 3. Yeah, no, I hear your point, people. Mass Effect 1 is outstanding. It has a lot of mechanical issues, if that's the way to phrase it. Mass Effect 1 is a really good game, but the actual like shooting gameplay isn't particularly advanced. the inventory system is a little frustrating, and the space exploration system is a little frustrating. But like the core like story of the game, to me, Mass Effect is about the decision trees. Like when people ask you things and you picking something in the conversation wheel, that's Mass Effect. And then baked around that, there's this like gaming crust of shoot things that walk around and are bad. And the shoot things that walk around and are bad mini game that goes on in between each conversation is a lot more polished in Mass Effects 2 and 3. But the actual like conversation part is just as good in 1 as it is in 2 and 3. We haven't done the Grissom Academy mission yet, no. Alright, votes so far are for Javik and Buckin. You need to put a space between your votes. So vote space and then the number, but I can just record it here. Looks like it's going to be Javik and Edie. Hey Ludifex, how you doing? Alright, let's see. Javik should have, good god, no. Give him the good particle rifle. Probably doesn't need much of these. Throw him on there. If he's using something other than his rifle, got a problem. Alright, so Edie's an engineer as well, I think. She's a little bit different, I think. Indeed it is. Yeah, weight's pretty clever. So you saw there while I was equipping weapons, there's 3 different approaches to it in the games. In Mass Effect 1, you just have all 4 guns, and then you have like a stat that it affects how good you are with the guns. So it's kind of frustrating if your character's not good with sniper rifles, but you still have a sniper rifle, like the game doesn't tell you don't use the sniper rifle because you're bad with it, right? You'll just try to use it and not understand why it's not working. Mass Effect 2 just says, okay, let's remove that system, let's simplify it. Each class only gets like 2 guns they can use, except for a soldier that can use all of them. This one says, okay, every class can use however many guns they want, but each time you equip an additional gun, it increases your weight, which increases the cooldown on your powers. So if you want to be a mostly like powers-oriented character, you want to use fewer, more lightweight guns. And if you want to be a more like heavy character, that's fine. Just don't focus on powers. I thought it was kind of a good decision. It was a clever solution to the problem between the 2 games. Oh, you don't care for choices in video games? Yeah, that's an interesting. It's an interesting point. I'm curious to hear why you don't like them. I think we want to go with the shields and the recharge speed. Yeah, let's just make it a tanky thing. Something else out there that's tanky. I think we can probably max both of these out or come close to it. Do power damage. Power damage, since we already did that. Now we gotta get 1 more point. Fine. Alright. Javik. Power damage. It's weird. Same argument here. Cool. Alright. Let's take Dark Channel's pretty good, right? Yeah, it like heals him after it damages you. Recharge speed as low as possible is usually the direction I go in. Armor and barriers. Ooh, I like that idea. Let's go with that one. Huh, right on, Raynex. Are you not a fan of RPGs in general? Like, are you not really into even games that don't have choices? Like, do you like, you know, Final Fantasy, Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, that kind of thing? I haven't really seen a choice-based game that's not also an RPG in its core mechanic.
This is the Solarian homeworld we're headed to. They aren't used to seeing Krogan here, so let's keep it simple. We land.
Make a platformer with choices. There's a genre that's untapped. Budding game developers.
Let diplomacy play out, Wrex. You'll get what you want.
These females are the best and probably last hope for my people.
Well, the biotics is somewhat grounded in reality, whereas the Force is magic, indistinguishable from magic. So with Mass Effect being more rooted in like science fiction as opposed to science fantasy, I think the Force would probably win. It's like, would a wizard be able to beat a engineer? Probably.
Slaughter the Solarians if they get in our way.
Who's that?
Yeah, what Size 16 said.
Sometimes I'm not sure if the Normandy's a warship or a traveling freak show. But as long as he can hold a gun.
That's a great line from Wrex. I don't think I've brought Javik on this mission before.
Commander, I have the Solarian base on sensors.
Set her down.
Oh, really? What? How would that play out, Raynex?
Commander, Solarian ground control says we don't have clearance to land.
Tell them the Dalatrass authorized this herself.
I knew they'd never keep their word. Let's see them try to stop a Krogan airdrop.
Yeah, I hear you, Spiky. That's the fundamental frustration for a lot of people. Some people want to see the whole game on their first play.
And who authorized you to hold my race hostage?
It also makes it expensive to develop, like I was mentioning, that they have to make multiple games for different people, because a very small percentage of your player base is actually going to play it more than once. Or even, and I'd say just a small percentage of your player base is actually going to beat the game, too.
Stand down! Hold your fire! Commander Shepard, restrain your colleague. We only found out about this transfer a few moments ago.
Yeah. Ludefex, there's not many decisions, but there are a couple exclusive decisions you can make in, like, Skyrim, and it freaks me out. The same reason.
I'd like to avoid a diplomatic incident.
As would we.
But you have something valuable to Wrex.
Something worth dying for.
This matter can be resolved, but I must insist he remain under guard.
I can handle this, Wrex.
Boo.
Anything goes wrong and all bets are off.
I'm Paddock Wicks, and I appreciate your understanding, Commander. With war on everyone's minds, our people are on edge. Careful! Watch the containment shield!
I believe Liara is well acquainted with that species.
They were much smaller in my cycle.
As you can see, this base contains sensitive information.
Gotta start bringing Javik on every mission, man. He's got some pretty funny dialogue.
What kind of work goes on here?
Evolutionary trials, morphological simulations, exogenetic assessments.
Nothing is ever simple with Solarians, is it?
Science has always been our best defense. The research we do here has kept Sur'Kesh safe for millennia.
I really like the Solarians, too. Actually, like I said, Mass Effect is my favorite setting in fiction, not just in video game fiction. Got a really cool fleshed out universe, really cool fleshed out races.
Does that include studying lost Krogan?
The females were in poor health when we found them on Tuchanka. They were brought here to stabilize their condition.
This whole planet smells wrong.
I'd like to see them.
Of course. I'll need to clear you for the lower levels. Give me a few moments and meet me near the elevator.
All right. Got some Paragon.
This is where all you Solarians come from, huh? No wonder you're so soft. Too busy writing poetry about waterfalls.
I love you, Wrex.
Shepard, I don't like this. I should be the one going in.
How about you stay here and we only fight one war at a time?
That was just good old-fashioned Krogan hot air. If it had been real, they'd be dead.
Idle threats are empty threats.
Maybe when this war is over, you can come live on Tuchanka. You'd fit right in.
Wrex likes Javik.
Who tipped you off about the females here?
Sorry, Shepard, but they're listening to every word we say. I prefer my Solarian liver served raw.
Yeah, Earthbound. People, you're subtly driving a knife into my heart to say, or whatever that game Ness is from. It's my favorite game.
He's correct.
It's cool. It's not for everybody. It's super like quirky.
Back Back on the Normandy, you said Reapers were sighted on Tuchanka.
Clans Jorgal and Ravenor sighted a few landing parties.
Everybody has their sins, right?
Tuchanka may be a pile of radioactive rubble, but it's our pile. And we'll fight to the last Krogan to keep it that way.
And that's exactly what it will take.
We're Krogan. We're ready.
You can never be ready for what's coming.
Probably most people know Ness from Smash Brothers, would be my guess. I'm a very rare person that happened to play it, and I only played it because the box was so big, right? Go to rent the game at Blockbuster, and I see this giant box. I'm like, what the hell is that? So my mom rents it for me, and it's big because there's a strategy guide that comes with it.
What do you know about these females?
They weren't fertile, so we used them as decoys to draw off enemies from the ones who were. But Malin's experiments changed that. These damn pyjacks stole them right out from under us.
Yeah, no, I hear you, people. Like I said, we all have our sins, right? I've got a host of them. They're all the kind of games when you tell them I haven't played, they're like, what? You haven't played that? And you say you like this, this, and this?
That's a pretty brutal way to treat your women, Wrex.
The females suggested it. We've had to make a lot of tough choices to ensure we don't all die off.
Your females are wise.
It's just one more thing that'll get better when the genophage is cured.
Are the Krogan ready to fight the Reapers?
Ever since Sovereign showed up, I figured this day would come.
It does.
My people have spent too much time selling ourselves out as mercenaries. Now we can get back to doing what Krogan do best, saving everyone else from giant monsters.
I've got it in that box and I want to take it off the wall, but yes, there are scratch and sniff stickers in the back. There was a, one of them was a mystery smell, and you were supposed to guess what the smell was and send it into Nintendo. I guessed it was pizza, which is correct. It's supposed to be like mock pizza, which is like one of the stores in the game. You can get food that recovers your HP. They sent you a little mock pizza delivery man air freshener. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's a strategy guide that's the size of this box. Someday I'll take it off the wall and show you guys. It's pretty cool. Or you can go back and watch my Earthbound playthrough. It was the first game I played on stream. I referenced the strategy guide pretty often during it. It was pretty great. The strategy guide was really well written too. It was written as though it were an in-universe like travel guide.
Please don't touch that.
Okay, Solarian buddy. Earthbound is, the way I describe it, it's what Japan thinks America is like. That's kind of what America was like in the 90s.
But they're gonna cure the genophage.
Yeah, Ludifex, I'm super worried about that too. I really don't think they should have called it Mother 4. They could make a game that's inspired by it, but don't call it that.
Isn't the same as seeing it in person. Puts a new perspective on things, doesn't it? But there's also regret. Knowing that as we speak, destroyed other worlds just as beautiful.
Remember this. Soon your memory may be all that remains.
Thanks, Chavik. God, dude is grim.
You have clearance now to see the females, Commander. I hope we can resolve this matter without reenacting the Krogan rebellions.
Yeah, exactly, Spiky. Well, some towns in America are clearly full of zombies, right? That'd be a good back-of-the-box description for Earthbound. That's how I sell it to people when I say they should play it.
What do you think about handing over the Krogan?
I differ from most of my colleagues. Curing the genophage will bring closure to this issue. In the future, the Krogan may yet play some role we can't even imagine. We should let the evolutionary process decide who lives and dies, not galactic politics.
Yeah, right, people?
Thanks for your time.
Of course. Proceed into the elevator when you're ready.
Going in the elevator. Clearly there's not going to be any combat here, right? Like, we're not all in our combat gear with our weapons and our combat allies. This kind of commits the Silent Hill Shattered Memories fallacy of making it really clear when action's about to happen, instead of it having it be a legitimate surprise. Earthbound Beginnings is kind of going in the same direction with Itoi. Mother 3 is pretty weird, though. Mother 3 doesn't even take place on Earth, really. Kinda. Earthbound Beginnings is Japan's perception of the West in the 80s. Right, people?
All specimens are accounted for, sir. Shepard, excellent timing. Good to have
Hey, it's Mordin! Everybody get excited.
Eyesight still sharp. Surprise, understandable. Hadn't expected to return to work.
Fortunately, they had to get a different actor to play him. They couldn't get, was it Jim Beatty, I think his name was? Jim Beatty was the guy that he had done Gilbert and Sullivan, so they had him do the Pirates of Penzance. Like, what is it? Is it the patter? I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. For whatever reason, he had to schedule conflict. They got somebody else, but with the Solarian voice tweak, he sounds pretty close. I think he did a good job.
His speech is strange.
Prothean, excellent.
You're back with STG.
Special consultant.
No big deal, Mordin.
Someone else might have gotten
Michael
wrong.
Beatty, that's right.
Helped female Krogan. Fed information to Clan Erdnot. Encouraged political pressure to free females.
All right, Mordin.
You must be Rex's inside source.
Yes, can explain later. Security warnings not normal. Need to get off world for sake of Krogan.
Yeah, Ludefx, their new voice actor is pretty close.
Immune systems. Side effect of Malin's cure. These didn't survive.
But what about Malin's research? I thought we saved it.
Indeed, data saved, but not complete. Lacks crucial details to reconstruct.
You're kind to say so, Renex. Independent of you making that comment, I've mentioned before in joking that I want to be the Bob Ross of Twitch.
Pure, but still useful for synthesizing from living tissue. Couldn't save them.
That might be like some of the highest praise I've ever received. Mr. Rogers is the man. Like if I could give him a posthumous award for like best human, I would. Dude was a badass. There's all these like goofy internet urban legends about him being a sniper or whatever. None of them's true. He was just legitimately a good guy.
I'm sure you did everything you could, Mordin.
Arrived too late. Cannot delay now. One survivor, immune to genophage, can synthesize cure from her tissue.
She's still here.
Yes, last hope for Krogan. If she dies, genophage cure... problematic.
I can hear that, Spiky. Earthbound has an upside-down difficulty curve, and that the first 2 hours of it are the hardest part of the game, and then it gets quite a bit easier after that.
I'm Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy.
Are you here to kill me?
That would serve no tactical purpose.
Yeah, maybe Spiky has more information, but it's the first 2 hours are difficult. They're not like impossible, but until you get a second party member, you're really having the hardest possible time. Fortunately, the death penalty in the game is really mild. Like, you like lose half of the money that's on you. You keep all your experience and items and stuff though, so you just make sure you deposit all your money in the ATM. I actually used that. I got my nephew to play Earthbound, and it taught him like sound financial. Like he knows to save his money now because he knew that if he didn't put his money in the ATM in Earthbound and he got killed in combat, he'd lose half of it. So he'd always like take just enough out to buy the things he wanted to buy at the store, and then he'd redeposit it back at the ATM, and he does it in real life now.
Erdnot, Wrex, and I are here to take you home.
Why? What am I to you?
You're the future of the Krogan race. I'm fighting for that.
Then I hope you brought an army.
Give me an update.
I feel like there's not a 30-minute segment of Earthbound that's indicative of what the rest of Earthbound is like, though. You could say the same thing for Mother 3, too. Mother 3 is kind of all over the place. That's what makes it so charming, in my opinion. Hey, Goomba, how you doing? No shit! We're fighting things!
Only one survived, Wrex. It might be safer down here. Release the female. We're leaving.
I can't. Protocol states during lockdown, no specimens.
Objection noted. Now, please release Krogan.
Yeah, right, people. No, it's like it's a 90s RPG. That should be the sell for it. It's pretty cool. Like, you don't have like a sword and a shield. You have a baseball bat and a yo-yo. You don't have magic. You have psychic powers. It's pretty neat. Like, give you an idea. Like, you know, some enemies will brush their teeth in battle, and like their teeth will be so shiny that it will blind you. Or like you can buy a teddy bear, and the teddy bear follows you around, and it acts as a shield in combat. So sometimes the enemy will attack the teddy bear instead of you. Eventually, the teddy bear takes mortal damage and explodes into a pile of fluff. I should shut up. If I keep talking about Earthbound, we're just gonna not even be playing Mass Effect.
You'll see Tuchanka again. I promise.
I agree, Spiky. Load your save is the worst possible death penalty. Load your save means I'm going to waste your time. Like, not only did you just fail, but the last 30 minutes of progress is gone as if it never happened. When you're lying on your deathbed, you'll be, I died in Final Fantasy VI, and now I can't say goodbye to my children. Right?
Something's wrong with the elevator.
The next step is giving you some kind of experience penalty, which is effectively the same thing, but at least you're not losing, like, plot progress. And I think a money penalty is reasonable, especially when you can circumvent it by just being careful and keeping your money deposited in an ATM or in some Dragon Quest games in a bank. Wait, elevator at? Oh, okay.
Log, Mordin Solus, 162.3.
It's Mordin Solus. Oh, that's not good. Good looking out, Javik.
Is there another way out of here? Other side of the lab. An emergency exit.
The door I went to originally, fine. I tried to avoid the bomb. Actually, I didn't remember that there was a bomb there. No, that's what ended up happening for me. I played Earthbound having never played an RPG before. I was like, wow, I really like this whole turn-based RPG thing. What other games are like this? And the next game I played after that was Final Fantasy IV. And it blossomed out my love for the genre, all because some game at Blockbuster had a box that was too big. Otherwise, I don't think I ever would have played any of those titles. Pretty defining genre preference. Like, it's the Napoleon Dynamite problem I was talking about yesterday, where you either really, really like JRPGs or you completely hate them and never want to play them ever. Or you're in my position where you have good memories, good nostalgia about some specific JRPGs like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy, but you're starting to get fatigue from there being too many of them that are much too long. Okay, I will not do that thing you asked me not to do. Mousy 4 is really great. Good game.
We're on our way.
I think Buckin means that if you go into Earthbound expecting Final Fantasy VI, you're going to be a very surprised person, because it's they're very, very different. The transition in the other direction is quite good, though. Yeah. Chrono Trigger is so short. It's nice. I mean, it has about a good 40 hours of content if you want to invest that into it. But Spiky and I have talked about this quite a bit. It's just so well designed. Earthbound's pretty short too. Earthbound ends up being like 20, 30 hours if you play through it efficiently. Can't really get lost in Chrono Trigger. Can't really remember any parts of the game where a newbie is going to get stuck. I'm going up? I'm going up, it looks like. Go this way. There we go. Oh man, so you can't actually fight that thing, but that's a...
Careful. There goes the next shadow, bro.
Yeah.
Would be amused.
It's the race that they introduced in the Shadow Broker DLC. It was kind of clever. think it's just an animation. There's never something you can interact with in this game. Yeah, I can say that a lot about any SNES RPG that's not Chrono Trigger, though. I said I really love Final Fantasy IV, but every single time I play Final Fantasy IV, I think I get to each individual part. I'm like, God damn it, I hate this part. God damn it, I hate this part. God damn it, I hate this part. I love this game. Yeah, people, I know where you're coming from. I had that, that was my attitude as a kid. I grew up really poor, and my main way of consuming games was through rentals. So if I got, you know, if I was able to play the game constantly during a rental and never actually beat it or finished it, and even would want to rent it a second time, that was really good value. Especially so if I, you know, actually really wanted a game and my parents bought it for me, like Final Fantasy VII, saved up for it to get it for me for Christmas. Because they cared. Got a lot of mileage out of that one.
Are you okay?
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be Zelda Triforce Heroes, but Hapax isn't in town, so I'm just going to play some more Zelda instead, since I'd already had Zelda on the schedule.
Females kept secret, possibly a mole in STG, could be indoctrinated. If no Krogan alliance with Turians, Reapers left unchallenged.
We'll do more than challenge them.
That's good, Spiky. Yes, Portal is just as long as it needs to be. Chrono Cross is a good game, it just... wish it wasn't called Chrono Cross. That's my biggest complaint about it. Alright. Sentry turret these dudes. We're playing Mass Effect 3 for another 50 minutes. We're switching to Valkyria Chronicles from 2 until 4. Then from 4 to 6 it's Subscriber Block. Doing games recommended by subs on Patreon. Today it's my wife Andrea, who normally opts out of Sub Block, but it's her birthday week, so we're going to play Achievement Unlocked, which is an excellent browser game. If you haven't checked it out, you can Google it. It's pretty funny. It's kind of a parody of achievements in games. And then we're going to be playing Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter for a little D-piece. Which is, I played Breath of Fire 1, 2, and 3. Haven't played this one, though. It's a PS2 game. It kind of plays around with the JRPG formula a bit by being fairly short, but having a time limit. We got out in time there. I think that, okay, so not being terribly educated on Final Fantasy 13, right? My experience with the game is everyone else's opinion of it, and like maybe the first 2 hours of actually playing through it. I feel like it looks more linear, which is what's distressing to people. When you have a map on the screen that is just a hallway, like it exposes that feature of the game more clearly, but is it really any more non-linear than like Final Fantasy X, which people like? Final Fantasy X is pretty linear. Every now and then there's a hallway branch to go get a chest, and if Final Fantasy 13 just puts that chest closer to the actual map that you're on. Hey, it's Kirihi! Stream voted to rescue this guy in Mass Effect 1. Hold the line.
Major now. Always hoped we would work together again. Is there an easier way around? You could say that.
This right here is why I love Mass Effect, because they bring back this character from Mass Effect 1, and he doesn't necessarily have to be here. He wouldn't be here if you didn't play Mass Effect 1, and you get some nice little nostalgia.
Salarians know their weapons.
Go, Commander! I'll cover you!
Alright, squad. Your orders are to hold position and block access to next checkpoint.
I don't know what any of those things mean, having not played Final Fantasy 13. I know what adamantoises are, I take that back. They're in all the Final Fantasies. I wonder if that's tricky for Square now, you know, that Sakaguchi's not around anymore and they feel this, like, nostalgic pressure to include the, like, what is effectively the Final Fantasy monster manual. Like, these are the classic monsters that we have to have in the game, or it wouldn't be a Final Fantasy. Those didn't really, we didn't have a canon for monsters until like maybe Final Fantasy 7 or 8 is when we started to really recognize that. Some games would show up between them, but there was no rule that says you got to have cactuars, you got to have tonberries. There we go. It's an interesting little scanner. Cool. What are you picking up, Wrex? Oh, do I need to use this? Okay, this is a sexy loading screen. Just, I appreciate when they make their loading screen sexy. All right, access confirmed.
Dr. Solis' theory is likely true. Cerberus is informed of Krogan's presence. The response time is too rapid.
Every war has its traitors.
I'm excited to do Lightning Returns. When we do Final Fantasy 13 on stream, we'll probably play through all the games. Since that's going to be a big time commitment, though, I'll probably do that last. We're working on 10 now. After 10, I'm thinking we're going to do 4. Like to do the Dawn of Souls FF1 remake. Maybe we'll end with 8 and 13. I guess if I'm going to do 8, I should probably get it over with sooner rather than later, right? Betraying my opinion of Final Fantasy 8. Got to be really careful. I have a complicated opinion of Final Fantasy VIII that boils down briefly to I don't like it, but I don't really completely dislike it. It's still a good game. It's a Final Fantasy title.
I'm headed up top.
It's a issue with being a person, right? It's hard to have a complex opinion that you can convey laconically with brevity. El Deuterino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing, man. Alright. Oh, okay, it's up on the top. Fine, game, fine. I get what you want me to do. Ish. So I gotta climb back up from over here and then go and kill the thing, sure. Why do people hate Final Fantasy VIII so much? My reason for disliking it is that actually the first disc of Final Fantasy VIII, everything up until the disc change is outstanding. It gets super weird after that, and I feel like the combat system isn't Final Fantasy at its best. It was the team taking a big risk with the draw system and having enemies scale to your level. And I think that needs to be taken into account when judging it. It's sort of like, you know, it's not cool for Ego Raptor to say that Ocarina of Time is garbage when it was really, really innovative for its time. Similarly, you gotta give props for innovation. People don't like Final Fantasy II for the NES because it had a really innovative leveling system. But we got to take into account that they were trying something different. And if they hadn't learned those lessons, they may have learned those lessons on something like Final Fantasy VI, which would have suffered for it. What's that pod integrity thing is like an actual countdown? I really need to be moving kind of quickly here. The game gets really weird really fast in Disc 2, people. Oh, that sounds great, Darkstar. I'm sure that Matt's going to be thrilled to do that. Is there any way we can do that any more quickly with the new content? Any kind of shortcut to help us catch up? Like the new raid or whatever that they're adding? Activating checkpoints. Hey Andrea, how you doing? You get weird really fast in Disc 2.
But I'd like to. Hang in there. How many more checkpoints?
Just the landing area. Hope Erdnot Wrex still waiting. He has to.
I'll see you up top.
I like innovation. Western game companies have more often gone the direction of we never need to innovate. Let's put out, like, you know, Madden roster update 2016 or the equivalent, like, Battlefield engine update 2015 kind of a thing. But that said, some people like that experience and they just want the same game but with a roster update or a technology update, graphics update. So I think that they're both markets that ought to be served. I like companies that try to make a new game, change things up. You know, it's sort of like sometimes it's fun to go to the movies and watch the new remake of classic TV series you watched as a kid. And sometimes it's fun to go to the theaters and watch, you know, part 7 of a series that started 10 years ago. But it's also fun to see new IPs because they're risky. And when they're good, they're really good. Even something like, you know, Mad Max Fury Road, which doesn't meet that requirement, right? It's based on an existing IP. Pretty risky. Now consider the totem aspect innovation. Yeah, it's an interesting way to use the 3 characters. You didn't do that in Four Swords. It's innovation that I don't know is necessarily a good thing, though. Because the way totem ends up working out in a lot of those boss fights in Triforce Heroes is that if you need to stack people 3 high, then the person who's in the middle can't do anything. I guess they can, like, cheer the other people on. Cool. Where's the other dudes over here? Still dudes over here? There are. All right. I can put one in front of the pod. Approval given.
Pod then transfers to loading area.
Let's get you out of there.
Problem with the controls is that it really feels like you should be playing that game with a D-pad, not with a circle stick. Circle pad I don't think was the right choice. I'm a powers player when playing as an engineer or a vanguard, so I'm mostly using my powers to win these fights more than the pistol. If I were to equip a bigger gun, it would reduce or would greatly increase the recharge time of my powers, so stick with the pistol. Yeah, we're on it. Don't get your panties in a twist.
Stay clear. I've got this.
Protect the Krogan, Shepard. She's vulnerable.
I think it's good that they're trying new things, yes. Provided that they learn lessons from the new things is an important step to think about, I think, right? There are some developers that try a new thing and nobody likes it and they keep deploying it year after year. Alright. No big D. No, what's the YouTube premium subscription service? That has not crossed my desk yet. I think innovation for innovation's sake is good. As long as developers are learning from their mistakes. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that, Jenna. YouTube Red. Yeah, what all features does it give, and what are you paying for? Nice.
You had me worried there for a minute.
Let's make this quick.
I can't believe they're making the YouTube in the background thing a premium feature.
Let's get you out of there.
It's a silly restriction in the first place. So it seems to be mostly mobile focused. It is, Andrea.
Handle myself, Wrex.
Women.
Nice.
Cerberus here. What do you want?
Google's not the first. This is not their first time failing at branding. Do you guys remember Google Wave? Not a branding, but like a marketing, putting it out before its time kind of a thing. It was this thing that was supposed to replace email. It was a really cool idea. The technology ended up becoming basically Google Docs as we know it now. I was in the beta for it. I was super excited.
If I get Krogan boots on Palaven, the Turians promise me their support.
And how does Cerberus get involved?
I don't know. The elusive man is up to something.
Then keep them at bay. I can't overstate what a victory this treaty would be for the Alliance. We'll need all the help we can get.
Hack it out.
How's the Prothean device coming?
Not yet.
Alliance R&D has officially begun construction. The team has dubbed it Project Crucible.
I think people got angriest about the shutdown of Google Reader, which I'm still sad about. There's all kinds of sites that I don't check anymore because I don't have my Google Reader.
Throwing everybody who knows how to hold a hammer at it. This is going to be the most ambitious undertaking in human history.
Will we get it done?
I'm not saying it won't be a challenge, but our researchers tell me the designs are elegant, massive in scope, but strangely simple as well. We can do this, Shepard. You can do this. Never doubt that.
No, sir.
Good. Hack it out.
Hack it out. The idea with Google Wave was that they said email exists in its form because it's literally an electronic interpretation of like snail mail. And what if we had like designed email before snail mail? What would it have looked like? But people didn't get it. It was a cool concept. All right. Building the Crucible. So all the Prothean tech has a name that starts with C. I thought that was a nice little nod. Cipher, Catalyst, Crucible, Conduit. Citadel. All right.
You have the female, Wrex. A cure for the rest of your people can come later.
That wasn't the deal.
But Palaven needs your reinforcements now. We can't delay.
Unless every Krogan gets the cure, there's no alliance.
Mordin, how long will it take to finish a cure?
Need to synthesize base antigen from female. Also requires healthy male Krogan tissue. We'll need a sample.
You're looking at it.
Acceptable.
Cuttlefish Buster.
Remain aboard Normandy for procedure.
Let's hope the food's gotten better.
Formulating a cure that works for every Krogan sounds like a tall order, Mordin. Can you do it?
Of course. Similar to Genophage modification project. Working against own alterations this time. Not as simple as garbage DNA blocking attachment sites. We'll need to counteract shutdown of redundant nervous system, adjust neurotransmitter levels.
Got it.
We'll create cure, Shepard.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question very carefully. You won't spoil anything. There's a couple DLC missions that I haven't played before in Mass Effect 3. I haven't played the Citadel, and I haven't played Leviathan. There might be another one that's like Omega or something. Yeah. So I think the only DLC I've done for Mass Effect 3 is the one we already did for Javik. Is there a point of no return before which I should do any of those DLC in the story. I know that, I think the way it's set up, technically you can play them even after you beat the game. You can have like a post-game beaten save that you can use. But should I do those DLC before Priority Tuchanka, for example? If anyone has an educated notion on that. I'm not sure, I haven't done my research yet. I could do Citadel as the last thing before the finale? Okay.
Then get started, Mordin, and make it quick.
Always do. We'll be in Medbay if you'd like to speak more. Eve requires tests.
Eve?
Female's real name unknown. Normandy, a human vessel. Human mythology seemed appropriate under circumstances. Suggest speaking with her. New perspective. Surprising in Krogan.
Now, is there anything else?
There's a small matter concerning a ship we've lost contact with.
What happened?
I'd rather discuss it in private.
Turian problems can't even come close to what I've got.
What is it?
Some of my men went missing. The rest of it we can discuss somewhere else.
I'll find you both in the war room. Just be ready to talk.
Everybody being so nasty to each other. All right. What's up, Wrex?
Hell of a show down there on Sur'Kesh. Just like the old days, Shepard. Right down to me pulling your ass out of the fire.
I was the one with bullets flying at me.
And I gave you the moral support to dodge them.
Uh-huh. You said one of your squads is missing.
Vote Wrex.
They were scouting out the Rachni relay. We've heard rumors of trouble in the area.
Rachni?
Thought that might get your attention. I have a favor to ask. It's big.
Don't tell me they're back.
All I know for sure is our scouts went silent as soon as they arrived. I've got Aralac Company, my best unit, on standby. You give the word, and they'll meet you there.
I'll see what I can do.
Get on it, Shepard.
So that's another mission that's related to our decision in Mass Effect 1.
That's it for now, Wrex. Let's get back to work.
Anytime.
Thank you, Buckin. I'll go ahead and start that one. I probably won't do it today.
Got tired of always hanging around the cargo bay before. I still don't have a window like Liara does, but it's progress. Wish I could knock some heads around with you, but duty calls. If the Solarian says my DNA is important, who am I to argue?
Boo. Like they point out that the Krogan evolved with their eyes on the either side of their head like prey species, you know, like deer. Because almost everything on their home planet is a predator.
Commander.
You said one of your ships had gone missing.
Crashed, actually. I couldn't speak in front of the Krogan. Our ship went down on Tuchanka. Now they're pinned by an advanced guard of Reapers scouting the planet.
What are your men doing there?
I'm sorry. That's classified. But it's vital they be rescued. They must complete their original mission. It's a matter of galactic peace.
We can go start this mission. If we have to save in the middle of it to switch to Valkyria Chronicles, we can.
I'll do what I can.
I appreciate your help and understanding.
Thank you, Primarch. My thoughts are with Palaven.
And mine with Earth.
Yeah, I'm on board giving Wrex a window. The hell? Turian platoon on Tuchanka. Okay. Right, I remember this side mission. I think that's the kind of peacekeeping. Bigger armory diplomacy, right?
They were solid. Cerberus has Reaper tech. Compared to those upgrades, the Solarians might as well have been rocks.
Commander, I found something suspicious. Have you got a minute?
Oh my god, everyone wants to talk to Commander Shepard.
I found something while scanning Alliance channels. It could be important. Grissom Academy is requesting help. The Reaper invasion front will hit them soon.
It's not really soon though, right? Buckin, it's that I have to do them before the priority Tuchanka. I can do them whenever I want as long as I do them before priority Tuchanka. Or do I have to do them right now?
I thought the war would close most schools.
Grissom Academy is a really important area in the two of the 3 books. Mass Effect Ascension and Mass Effect Revelation, I think is what they're called. They take place between Mass Effect 1 and 2 and Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Grissom Academy is more.
This is your first chance to actually visit them in the games proper.
Smartest students humanity has to offer. Their Ascension project is the best training facility in the galaxy for human biotics.
Yes, I sent a young man named David Archer there. I'm just surprised they're still open.
That's the Overlord DLC. Stream voted to send him to the Academy.
Some of their work has Alliance support. That might be why they stayed.
What can we do?
A Turian evac transport responded to their distress call, so normally I'd say we don't need to do anything.
Okay, thanks, Buck, and I'll take care of him then.
Sounded off in the Turian signal. I had Edie perform an analysis. It's fake. Edie thinks it's Cerberus. She said the fake Turian signal was similar to the one that lured you to a collector ship.
Long story.
In any event, whoever faked the signal wants us to think Grissom Academy's being evacuated. But I believe they're still in danger.
Alright, Specialist Trainer.
Good catch. Maybe you belong here after all.
If this really is Cerberus, hopefully this operation is something worth investigating. It could be simple disinformation.
Trainer, good catch.
Thank you, Commander.
I feel like I am not a fan of missions that have a hidden timer behind the screen. I think we all have this sense in video games that unless if there's a ticking clock on the screen, you know, even if your best friend is dangling for their life from the edge of a cliff, you can turn tail and go back to the nearest town and buy some potions. Like, I feel like games should do a really good job of very clearly communicating to you whether something is time sensitive or not. Actually, Dragon Age Inquisition did this pretty well in that there'll be a little icon and it'll be a pop-up on the screen when you're making a decision and talking to somebody that says, if you do this, this person will leave. If you pick this option, this person will join you. Make it very clear that you're not just saying the option because the text makes sense to you, you know? Alright, let's do this Turian stuff. Krogan DMZ. Hey, it's my initials. Demilitarized zone. Yeah. So we're not doing priority Tuchanka. We're doing down vessel. And I think they could implement a timer. They could put something on the mission. They could tell you somewhere. Stick with the voted party. We'll revote next time we play. Alright, I don't think I need to change anything here. That looks good. Gotta level up. We're just doing fitness. And shields, please. Probably just do incinerate, to be honest. Health and armor, yeah. Nice thing is they have something that's good against shields and something that's good against armor. I guess I could keep doing warp ammo since I always have that turn. Let's do that first. Makes sense. Shackled AI. Yeah, let's do the tech power damage and duration. Since our main character uses tech. Let's see, lift grenade. Works for me. Please insert disc 2. Alright guys, give me 1 sec. I don't know if Grissom Academy has a time limit. We'll just put all that stuff priority. We'll do that first. Yeah, right. People, you'd think that people would just say, okay, next game's either going to be Phoenix Wright or Skies of Arcadia. Let's wait until midnight, the night the decision's actually going to happen, and spend our CP or SP on some of these other games.
Looks like Wrex was right about Reaper Scouts. Edie, any further intel?
The mission brief identifies the...
Yeah, no, it's just Phoenix Wright, Ron. They're not bidding on me playing nothing but Phoenix Wright for weeks.
In commander as Lieutenant Tarquin Victus.
Victus?
The Primarch's son.
Try to raise him.
It seems there is more to this than we know.
Commander, I have to land well back from the main crash site.
That the best you can do?
Yes, ma'am. The Reapers seem unaware of our presence. You might get the jump on them.
Okay, right, I'll just do it sooner rather than later, Buckin. Yeah, do it like you're bidding on an eBay auction. Gotta snipe.
Okay. Did you raise Lieutenant Victus?
Yes, but the connection is bad.
Patch me in. This is Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy. Do you read?
This game probably has one of the like sloppiest handlings of having multiple discs, because they wanted you to move in nonlinear order, but that requires you to basically swap discs whenever you're going to a main mission or doing a side mission, so you switch them constantly. I think Mass Effect 2 handled it pretty well, where like all of the major content at the beginning of the game, where it was completely linear, was on a disc, and all the major content at the very end of the game, where it was linear, was one disc, and then everything else was on the other disc.
This is Lieutenant Tarquin Victus of the 9th Platoon. We're pinned by Reaper harvesters and taking heavy casualties. Also, there are pockets of men scattered along the crash trajectory.
Lieutenant, I need you to fire a flare so I can find your position.
Right, people.
Got it.
Things get worse by the minute. My men are dying.
This sounds bad. Let's move.
The destruction here is impressive.
All right.
This platoon's mission was classified. Here is...
Maps of the area list no important resources.
That's a pretty great scene. Oh man, if you guys ever wanted to check it out, there is like a 6-hour video out there when Andrew and I visited Rome. And when we went to the Colosseum, this like... He must have been... He was dressed like a frat guy, right? He had the clamshell necklace and the hat. He yelled, "This is Sparta!" And I was like, no, this isn't Sparta. This isn't Sparta at all. Don't yell that. Okay, he's got the right.
It appears that they survived the crash, and then a harvester exploded the pod.
Died in the explosion.
Alright, Tempest.
Okay. I have a visual on the enemy, and there's an escape pod just beyond. Looks like the Turians are in tough. Enemies up ahead don't know where.
Sneak up on the cannibals.
Surprise is its own weapon.
Exactly. Let's go.
Yeah, right. Ooh, we're bringing back Mass Effect 1 combat music here. That's good. I really like the Mass Effect 1 soundtrack. 2's really great too. It trends a little bit more in the like almost orchestral. It still has a strong melodic theme for most of the songs, but I kind of like the like Art Deco 50s like sci-fi heavy synthesizer soundtrack of Mass Effect 1. Oh, one of these guys. Beautiful. What's that song, Major Tom? Always reminds me of Mass Effect when I hear it. Mass Effect and Breaking Bad. Oh.
Thank you. Don't stop for us. We'll head for the main crash site. There's another pod ahead.
This is the Rome airport, Andrea? I don't know if I remember what you're referring to.
Keep moving. We need to find the main crash site ASAP.
She's gonna like use 3 words that reminds me what the hell it is, and I'm gonna look like a dummy. Rome airport. I don't think we want to use that. We'll take it though. I do remember a lot of the like Roman airport people being kind of like grim and unfriendly. You know, it kind of used to in America, like service workers tend to be almost like nauseously positive, like big smiles all the time. Not as much in Europe. And I was wearing an Adventure Time t-shirt. I have this t-shirt that has like Finn sitting on the Iron Throne. And I had these like really disinterested, unhappy stewardesses that would be like, you know, passport please. And like, oh, it's Finn! Get so happy about it, having an Adventure Time shirt because I guess their kids watched it. I think it's more that like in Europe, like you're warm and friendly with people that you know very well, but it's not like the almost like disarming American style of acting like you're good friends with everybody that you meet. I think we could have killed that. We did kill it.
This way.
Oh, okay. I remember that now, Andrea. Yeah, there's this guy who just looks so pissed off. He just had this, like, I wish we had gotten a picture of him. It would have been great to share. He just looked furious. His t-shirt had this fun, like, Walmart smiley face. I'm here to help. Actually, Andrea, I think you told that story better than I could have if I had remembered what you were referring to.
When we find him, we'll ask.
He was the angriest Italian man I'd ever seen in my life. Yeah. So I'm guessing that he was probably an employee of an American airline, so that was like what they asked him to wear, because that's what's expected of service workers in the US, and he didn't care that his shirt had this big smiley face on it. I can kind of see the European, or at least the Italian approach to it, actually.
Shepard here.
The unrelenting positivity is kind of nauseating in the US sometimes. It's like, just if you're not having a good day, just let me know. We're not here to be friends. I'm just here to like buy some shoes or whatever. I think we can kill this thing eventually. That's good. I'll have to read. We're gonna do a codex day before we beat this game. Either before or immediately after beating it, where we read through all the codex entries. Probably do it as a weekend stream. Excited to read the Harvester Codex. I don't recall what they said it's made of, how there's this giant like bird thing all over the place. Yeah, in the Midwest, people are particularly friendly, but I mean, not even just like people on like the the subway or something, people, like, when you go to a store, any store in the US, I feel like it's expected that the employees will be like, hey, how's it going? Like, you know, show this, like, sort of fake warmth. And yeah, sometimes you'll see people who aren't doing it, but usually their employer wants them to do that. Like, you know, if I worked at Subway for a long time, they told me at Subway, like, you need to have a big smile on your face and happily say, hey, how's it going? Every time someone comes in. Even though that isn't my default mode of, like, interacting with people. So I think that's true in retail and business, regardless of where you are in the country otherwise. People are expected to be upbeat with strangers, and that expectation just doesn't exist in Europe, as I understand it.
Okay, let's pick it up. It's important we don't lose this squad.
There was kind of a bird-like thing, and wasn't that huge in the Grunt's Loyalty mission, Buckin.
I need these guys working together. Better not to complicate things.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Andrea.
All right, let's move!
Yeah. Right, people? I think you got it. I guess there is no expectation that you do that at all in Europe. Like, it is understood that you're here to conduct business. We're not friends. We don't need to pretend like we are. I think that thing can one-hit you if it comes at you at a certain... Like, if I wasn't behind cover there, I would just be dead right now, I believe. That's correct. Everybody throwing fireballs, 'cause that's what we do. Got him. Maybe. See, I'm curious enough that I'm just gonna read it. Oh, can I not access the... Oh, here we go. Probably in the secondary. Oh, do I not have one yet? Maybe I don't, unless if it's in the secondary. Reapers. No, I guess I don't have one yet. I might get one later. What are harvesters? They're like a absorbed race or something. Oh man, more games should reuse music. I don't know, man. Like, if they've got a good track, sometimes that's an easy path to, it's an easy path to nostalgia without having to put something that's, like, sickly sweet into the game. Just, you know, have a unique mission, but reuse some old music or remix the music. Throw fireballs at this guy. That's how we like to do. Kaboom! Yeah, it's cool when they will, like, call back to it, right? Like, every Final Fantasy has a new Chocobo song, but it's the same basic melody.
Come this way.
But it would be folly to say that it's not a new song. New instruments, new presentation. Yeah, no, I agree, people. Well, we see a little bit more of that in Skyward Sword, where Koji Kondo's not around and they're not using a lot of the really classic Zelda music.
My men and I are in your debt. Thank you for saving so many.
What happened here?
He screwed up. Stand down, soldier. These men are dead because of him.
I said, stand down.
Hey, I just saved all your asses, so everyone just calm down. Lieutenant, what's going on here?
I made a bad call. This is all on me. I chose caution and clever tactics over a head-on attack. And my men paid the price.
Yeah, people were pissed. I think I got some video of that. People yelling at each other in the street over a fender bender.
You mean the crash?
Yes.
We could see on Hollow that Reaper forces were blocking our intended path. Staying on course guaranteed heavy casualties. So I chose a safer route, skirting the enemy. And that took us low and through these ruins. When we encountered resistance, there was no room to maneuver. Suddenly, we were in a fight for our lives. A lot of my men lost that fight.
Yeah, Andrea is like, if someone is breaking social convention, so if they're like yelling in public or like throwing things in public, she assumes if they're going to break that social convention, they're going to break all social conventions and be a real like serious threat to her.
Owning your mistake takes guts, but you have to get over it and move on.
Of course. It's just fresh right now. Our mission's still a failure. When we've stabilized the injured, we'll head back to the fleet.
You're abandoning your mission?
We're down over 30 men. It'd be suicide.
What exactly did you come here to do?
There's a bomb on the planet. We were sent to defuse it.
A bomb? How big?
Enormous. Cerberus has it.
Lieutenant, if Cerberus has that bomb, you have to finish your mission.
Haven't these men sacrificed enough?
I understand. This kind of sacrifice is the hardest to ask for, but your men signed on for it, and so did you.
My men have lost hope, Commander. Even if I wanted to finish the mission, they don't.
It's your job to make them want to.
How?
Their sacrifice means that others will never face what they faced here today. Remind them that those sacrifices have no honor if the mission fails.
Men, I own what happened here today. But we have to carry on.
No, we don't. Who cares about a few dead Krogan? It's over.
We are Turian, and we will not let Cerberus succeed. Our sacrifice is the difference between life and death for this entire galaxy. Let the heroes of the 9th Platoon be remembered for performing their duties with bravery. All right, men. Shuttle's arriving any minute. We're moving out.
Yeah, one of the Gabe and Tycho Q&As at the PAX, Penny Arcade Expo, Tycho was making the point that when they went to Melbourne for PAX Australia, that like you like walk through the alleys there, and the alleys are all very nice. Like almost all the restaurants have little outposts there. There's like places to get dessert and dinner, and like his American sensibility is that if you go into an alley in America, you're going to die. If you go to an alley in Australia, you get a nice dinner. And Italy was the same way. Like in Rome, the alleys were just always full of like gelato shops and ice cream and things.
Commander, come with us. We're a shell of what we were. We could use the help.
Send me the nav point. I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. That'll give us time to do a little recon. See what we're up against.
Victus, you have a second chance here. Make their sacrifice count.
Understood, Commander. Hope to see you at the rendezvous.
All right. Good timing. I think this will be a good stopping point to switch over to Valkyria Chronicles. Give me a few minutes to get it set up. I gotta unsync my Xbox controller from the 360 and then resync it to my computer. Take a couple minutes here. Finish these little post-mission cutscenes first.
What the hell is going on, Commander? And what do the Turians have to do with it?
Coordinates Victus gave me place it in the Kelphic Valley. It's a heavily populated area. That's all I know.
My gut says something's not right here.
What do you suggest?
Get the Primarch to come clean.
Should we alert the Krogan military?
I'd wait. We're in the dark here. Krogan-Turian relations are fragile until the genophage is cured. Let's not push it. And how about this bomb? How many troops does Cerberus have on this?
No idea. All I know is we can't have them detonating that bomb.
Keep me in the loop. Hack it out.
Hack it out. All right, I'm gonna go save in front of the Primarch because we're gonna talk to him. Oh, she might just go talk to him immediately.
Impressive work.
Disregard.
I'm grateful that.
Why didn't you tell me about the Cerberus bomb? Why hide that? What else are you keeping from me?
I have nothing for you.
For our alliance to work, I need to trust you.
Our friendship is new, Commander. Would you trust me with information that puts your people, puts Earth, at risk?
Why would I jeopardize our alliance by lying to you now? It doesn't make sense.
Decisions like these weigh heavy on me. When I was a general, I could pass them up the chain of command. But now, I'm all I've got. Know what I mean?
Sure. And?
Shepard don't give a shit.
And that's all. Wait, there is one more thing, Commander. Thank you for saving my son.
Hey, Mordin, what's up, buddy?
Shepard, test verified. Results promising. Can synthesize for universal Krogan immunity.
Good. Then you can put your knife away.
The cure's ready?
No, still need transmission vector. Cure useless unless given to entire species.
You're usually full of ideas, Mordin. You altered the genophage before. There must be a way.
Of course, always possibilities, but time limited. Can't create new infections strained from scratch. Groundwater? No, too slow. Voluntary inoculation risky. Population too scattered for airborne, unless... Wait, yes! The Shroud. Constant global dispersion of air particles, built by Solarians to repair atmosphere of Tuchanka.
The Shroud is such a cool concept, right? So, like, Tuchanka blew away a lot of their atmosphere in a nuclear war. It was really, really bad. Like, greenhouse gas problem accelerated really badly. So, like, the radiation from the sun is super dangerous. So what they did is they made this, like, shroud of air particles in the sky that blocks some of the radiation from their star, and it kind of looks like they're constantly in an eclipse. It's really neat when you're on the planet. It's a cool idea, though. I'm not sure if it's something that's actually been theorized to work as a way of making a planet with a shitty atmosphere habitable. Kind of like how you have like the crazy Dyson sphere ideas of building this network of satellites around a star, but it's a really cool sci-fi concept.
Also used by Turians.
We used it to secretly spread the genophage virus. It ended the Krogan rebellions.
I'd be careful who you tell that to.
That's clever. So they built this thing saying, we're going to use this to help out your planet.
Sometimes I understand why the Krogan want to shoot everyone in sight.
Those were desperate times.
Yes, but useful now. Original genophage strain still in storage at Shroud facility. Can use it as transmission vector, then use Shroud to blanket Tuchanka with cure.
You clever little piejack. That's our best shot, right there.
Then finish your preparations and be ready to go, Mordin.
Of course. Ready when you need me. We'll be in medbay with Eve until then.
Commander, Admiral Anderson is available on VidCom.
What? Who says Futurama's not sci-fi? Let me at him. Futurama has some really cool sci-fi ideas in some of its episodes. Like, I think like the only show that's rivaling Futurama's one-off sci-fi ideas is Rick and Morty lately. All right, guys, give me a few minutes. We're going to switch over to other more different game, Valkyria Chronicles. I'm going to throw up BRB and we'll be back shortly.
Sega.